All right, everybody. Welcome to Guests on the Right podcast, a little special episode here as we have Chris Bass, who is a part of the two car and Xfinity and a tire and interior engineer, and part of that Talladega win back earlier this year. Very thankful for him to come on and join us today for the special episode. Um, Chris, we'll just roll right into it. Just tell us a bit about yourself, a little bit of your backstory. I mean, you can start wherever if you want to start from the time that you were in diapers. Go ahead. So,
Yeah, when I was a kid, it started with my grandpa, who had worked in the radio deal with JD Benfield here in Statesville. Um,
Mhm.
and he would go get drivers in the garage. And he would go get Pearson, he would go get Petty, he would go get Benny Parsons and stuff like that. So he worked beside them and did his deal back then, and it was well documented in our family that he had done that, and he'd made a lot of friends in the racing business.
Mhm.
And when I came along, it spread to me, and the joke always was my first word was NASCAR. So um, growing up around it, watching it every Sunday, it was just you went to church, you watched a race. Um, that's just the way it was here. And you know, I was a big Harry Gant fan. Harry was still
Skull
is a
Bandit.
family friend. Yep, the Skull Bandit. He was a we were a lot we seen each other more back in the day. And you know, I remember Andy Petrie, and it's ironic that I'm at RCR now that Andy's there. And um it's it was a process of just growing up around it, in it. uh Went to races every single year. It seemed we were at 5, 6, 10 races a year, you know, because we enjoyed it. We enjoyed it. And
What all
so
tracks
I
have you hit
graduated.
then?
Oh man. So back in the 90s, it was Wilkesboro, it was
I was
Charlotte,
about
it
to
was
say it sounds like
Darlington.
Wilkesboro in the heyday.
Yeah, we were there in '96 when Jeff won the last race there. Um, Gordon won the last race there. We were at Darlington in '97, which was when Jeff Gordon won his Winston Million the hard way. It was the same day, I think, or day before. I think Diana had passed away.
Mhm.
So it was a huge, huge weekend, uh, news wise, and then obviously NASCAR history wise. But I remember it. It was probably the hottest day on the planet. I think the heat index that day had to be 107 degrees. It was horrible.
Yeah, Lee.
But I hid under a blanket the last lap because I was scared Gordon was going to get beat. So I do remember that. I do remember that. So, but yeah, it just bloomed into. I, it was my goal. I wanted to be in racing some way, somehow, and graduated high school and um, thought the deal was over. I was working at a car dealership, and um, a baseball coach from high school called me and said, "Hey, man, I got a guy I went to high school with. He's a pit crew coach, and he's looking for, some athletes that maybe want to go into doing that side of it." And I seen that, it was just my door opened. So I just kicked it in and decided, hey, I'll do this. So uh, as fate would have it, luck would have it, whatever you want to call it, I worked at Lake Norman Jeep Dodge at the point at that time. MWR was right across the street. So on my lunch
Huh.
hour, I would just mosey over there for an hour and just practice hitting lug nuts for an hour. No air, hooked up to the air gun at all. Just had the gun and just tap, 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 tap. That's all I would do for an hour. And make a long story short, they kept me around, and then finally I was on the developmental deal with one of the best pit crew coaches in the business, with Kevin Sharp, and it took a nosedive, and they disbanded the R&D department. That's when Pastrana was going to run the '99 car from Michael in I think it was the K&N E Series or something back then.
Mhm.
And it took a nosedive, and thought it was done again. I was like, well, that was my chance, and didn't work out. So I guess it's time to go live a normal life. So um, I got a call within a month, and it was Kevin Sharp, and he said, "Hey, man, checking in on you, seeing what you're doing. Are you interested in maybe still doing it, or are you pretty much just out of it?" And I said, "Well, I'll give it another shot." So he told me to call this guy, and they had a pit practice school, if you would call it. And it's not the pit that's in Mooresville. It was a up and start pit practice facility slash school that would mold you into a pit crew guy. Um,
Hmm.
the initial fee to get in was $2,500. I didn't have it. I didn't have that kind of money.
I was gonna
So
say.
um, the guy that ran it looked at me and said, "Well, if you don't have the money, you got two options. One, you can go back home. Or two, you can work for me for free till you pay it off." So I worked for free, and there was 16-hour days. I had to learn how to glue lug nuts quickly, learn how to air up tires quickly. I had to get there. I had to make another long story short. I ended up learning all that and getting into that program, and it got me out. Um, Ended up pitting cars from anyone from Frank Kimmel to Max Gresham to Brian Silas. Probably some names that don't ring a bell at this point in time with anybody, but um, I was in the ARCA series that year. Got hired on by Andy Hillenberg. Um, he had a deal going on where he was paying the school for us to come change tires. Ended up the car that I was there supposed to be changing front tires on had missed a shift in qualifying. Um, all he was going to do was start the race, make one lap, pull it around the garage, and he was going to park it. So they said, "Here's your $500. Thanks, but no thanks. But you can go do whatever you want to do." And
Hmm.
Wow.
okay, so um, I had helped Andy in the past and went to the pit stall and glued up all of his wheels for him because his team was nowhere to be found. Little did I know they had a tech issue. The national anthem was playing and they were nowhere on pit road. So nobody would have been able to glue their tires for them. Nobody would have been able to get their tires set up. I set their pit box up by myself. I glued all their tires by myself because they had helped me. So I just said, "Well, I'll help y'all."
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
after the race, Andy Hillenberg found me and said, "You want a job?" I said, "Sure. Working on race car sounds like a dream. Sure, I'll do it."
Yeah.
He said,
100%.
"Well, you start Monday." And this was Saturday. I lived in Statesville. He worked in Concord,
Now,
about an
about
hour
how
and
far of
15
an
minutes away.
hour and 15? Okay.
Yep.
Mm.
So, hey, I did whatever, man. I was trying to make it, trying to do something, and just trying to stick my foot in the door.
Mhm.
And
Right.
so that happened, and then it went well. And um, another funny story would be if I told you it happened, you'd probably think I was joking. But so my first ever time changing tires was at Michigan in the ARCA series with a guy named, what's his name? He drove the 27 car in ARCA. Had a, I'm sure you've seen the reel. The guy, Brian Simcoe was his name. He has a famous viral video The guy jumps 2 feet first through the windshield to kick a guy in the face after getting wrecked in a late model race. He jumps over the
Oh,
hood with
that's
both
him?
feet and kicks. That's
When he
that
dropped
was
against the
Michael
window?
I've
Michael
never seen
Simcoe.
this
That's
video.
him. Michael
I
Simcoe
think
is his name.
I remember hearing about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not Brian Simcoe, it's Michael Simcoe.
Why have I
And
never seen this video?
it's hilarious. It's hilarious. But the crew chief that day, uh, like I said, first time I've ever done it. It was first time live. I could feel my heart beating in my throat as the car was coming down pit road. Uh, not ready for it. And we did so bad that day, we didn't get paid.
No.
It was not a good day. We ended up breaking a transmission or rear end or whatever. And we went to get our money, and the guy said, I ain't paying for that. So fast forward to Ryan Silas and Andy Hillenberg. Guess who the crew chief was? Same guy. So he looked at me and said, I remember you from somewhere. And I said, I never forgot you. You told me I'd never make it in this sport. You told me I wasn't good enough. I said, well, I'm here to take a job, be your front tire changer. He said, the only way you're going to get this job is if you beat me changing tires. You got it.
Hmm.
Did the pit stop. I was done and looked over and he was still doing his stuff. And I just stood up, looked at him and he said, you're hired. So crazy how it all just came full circle. But it
Right.
did. And then his dad ended up hiring me on the Xfinity side. Then it was called Nationwide Series in 2011. I went and worked with R3 Motorsports and uh, Robert Richardson Jr. That name may ring a bell. He was not that, you know,
What was the car number?
23.
23.
Yeah. It was a black, had red beside. It was a North Texas pipe, number 23 Chevrolet.
Do you remember that one?
Trying to think of
You'd
that
have
one.
to look it up. You'd have to look it up. It's Scott Riggs also drove the Cup car that they had, but it was a starting park and nothing. And I didn't enjoy my time there. And only cool thing about it is I got my dad to the racetrack and he got to do the pit sign during pit stops, and I was changing fronts. So and we did it all at Charlotte, track that we grew up going to together. So that was all a pretty sentimental deal for me. And then I got out of it the next year, and seemed like I told you it was going the way I didn't want to, and I could see the writing on the wall, and out for 10 years. And one of my best friends decided he was going to throw my name around, and people had remembered me and said, he looked at me at the bowling alley one night in Mooresville and said, hey, man, if you want to get back into this thing, if you want to start getting your feet back wet, he's like, man, right now's the time. He's like, a lot of people are getting out of it. A lot of people don't want to work that hard anymore. A lot of people don't have any passion for it anymore. And to do this, you have to have passion. Like you can't just treat it as a job. It's not. It's anything but. I mean, we're on the road 33 weeks out of 52. And in those other weeks that were like this week, we're off. But I worked more hours this week than I did the previous 2 weeks combined because we have cars to get ready. We got to get Charlotte done. We have to get Portland done. We have to get Sonoma done. We have to get Iowa, I think, after that. We have to get all that stuff done because we're not coming back. When we leave for Portland, we're staying out west for a week. So we're not going to be able to do this. To be back at the shop to get a car ready for the truck to go across the country 3 and 4 times. It doesn't make any sense. So, but yeah, I ended up at AM. Fast forward through that, I got sent to the Xfinity car with Brett Moffitt. Worked with Joe Williams, a great crew chief. I worked with Brett Moffitt, a great driver. I met some really cool people over at AM. Nothing but love and respect for those guys. Made some lifelong friends. by working there the 2 years that I was there, and we didn't see eye to eye. Um, Not where I think that I thought they were going in a direction that I didn't want to go. I didn't want to. I didn't want to go down that road with them. Um, and I told them, I was leaving. I was going to RCR to be with Danny Stockman, and they weren't impressed. They weren't very happy, to say the very least. But you know, they're where they were going. I just didn't want to go,
Yeah.
and I guess we mutually shook hands and said, "Okay, wish you the best," and ended up at RCR and working now with Danny Stockman, and it took a lot of. It was a journey when
Yeah.
I came back. Um, there were times that I wanted to quit. Um, I had people that were negative that I didn't really want to be around, but had to be around, and it wasn't a great experience. But I got ready to quit. I got pulled aside by the crew chief and told, I can tell you really want it. And if you got a problem with somebody, you can come talk to me about it. Like you don't have to deal with that. And so so he made that change. And um, like I said, there's a lot of ups, downs, fast paced, slow paced, a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, but it all correlated into winning at Talladega. And for me this year, watching the progress of this two car and of everything that's went on surrounding us
Mhm.
has been so rewarding for me
Yeah.
because when I got to my interview with Danny Lawrence and Danny Stockman, the first thing that came out of my mouth is I want to win races. I've never won anything. I'd never won a pole. I'd never won a race at any level. And they just said, you just do what you do, and we'll guide you. And it wasn't a month later. We were winning poles at Daytona, Atlanta, Texas. We're winning the race at Talladega, and Jesse's maturing. Even since Daytona, you can see the pop in the step, and
Mhm.
you can see that the confidence build every single week with everybody. And there's more laughs around the shop and a little awkwardness, a little. I don't know this guy just quite yet, and I don't know how I can approach this guy quite yet, but it's culminated into this dream atmosphere that you want when you're trying to chase a dream and accomplish it, or trying to be a part of
Mhm.
it. You have to you never do it alone, and obviously that never happened. As you've
Mhm.
heard us my backstory a little bit, there was always someone there to get me over that hump, get me
Yeah.
pushed
Right.
forward. And Danny Stockman has been that guy this year, and he's tough. He's tough, and anybody that knows Danny Stockman will tell you he's tough. But he only makes you better, and I think that's why he's been chosen to lead this group. Because he's got a track record. The guy's got
Mhm.
cars in the museum up the hill with his handprints on them. I mean, the guy is good at what he does. So that's my backstory. I know that was probably longer than y'all thought or
Oh
had time
no.
for, but
No.
but
No,
that
that
was
makes interviewing easy.
Yeah.
yeah.
When you
So,
when you
but it's been a
yeah.
ride. It's been a ride. I will say this: it's been a ride, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say, you know, my want to get back into this sport started after my grandpa had passed away, who obviously I told you that led me into this,
Mhm.
that taught me racing, if you want to
Mhm.
say. So, after he passed away in November of 21, uh, pretty much made a decision then that if I wanted it, I'm not getting any younger, and
Hmm.
he wasn't around to be around anymore. My weekends would be different, and said, "Heck with it. I can
Mhm.
if I want to go after it. Time's ticking." So
Right.
went after it, and things ended up working out, I guess, to this point. So
The bumper on the
I guess
wall
we're all
says it.
yeah. There's
Yeah.
a bumper back there. So yeah, that's a little backstory though. It's a little backstory, and um, like I said, I've always had somebody to help me when I needed it, and
Mhm.
even when I didn't think I needed any help, and I was guided by good people. So um, I'd be remiss and it'd be kind of stupid to sit here and say that I did this and I did that, or I did it by myself, or I accomplished this because there's no I. I didn't do any of this. I'm just a part
Right.
of a piece of I'm a part of a puzzle that just happened to be put together the right way the first time, and that's rare to see, but it's also cool to be a part of. So that's just basically it.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So
I kind of have a question about changing tires, being a front tire changer. What was it like the first time you hopped over the pit wall and there was a car coming right at you?
So let me just set it up for you. So this happened, like I said, it was at Michigan, and I never will forget it. I was in my head. I can hear them counting down the car coming to the pit stop. 10, 9, 5 away, you know. And I'm praying that it goes from 5 away to 6, 7, 8. Just because I don't think I can do this. But it was like jumping off a cliff, jumping off a wall that high. I mean, it was like jumping off a mountain cliff. Like if it I would be lying. They could have probably told you my heart rate from 30 feet away. I mean, it was a unbelievable experience. But like I said, the first one didn't go well. But I didn't even get paid for my first pit stop. So, um, but with time, it got better. And after a while, I would always tell people that the best pit stops you don't even remember. And people look at me and go, "Well, what? That don't make any sense. Like, seems like you would remember, but no. Like, as soon as your feet leave that wall, and I can't speak for all guys that do it or guys that even do it now, but in my experience, as soon as my feet left the wall, everything else went black. Like you were so hyper focused on what you had to do
Hmm.
to hit 5 lug nuts, to knock them off, to 5 on, and make sure they were tight. All this is going on in a matter of 5, 6 seconds.
Mhm.
And you're for me, a fast stop back when I was doing it was 13, high 12s were lightning quick. Now it's 8, 9 seconds. But
Yeah, that's insane.
yeah.
um,
Golly.
but it's the guys that we got on our team. We have the 3 cars, pit crew guys, Paul Swan and all those guys that Raider that they're on this 3 car. They pit our 2 car, and
Mhm.
Mhm.
watching those guys, it's I'm glad I got out of pitting when I did, because I'd have stood no chance. These guys are
Stop.
freak athletes, man, and these guys are freaks. And I mean that in
Yeah.
every respectful way. These guys are absolute animals. Um,
Yeah. It's
and
every time you're watching an Xfinity race and they're showing the race off pit road, it's always that the 2 and the 21 are always just
yep,
gaining an astronomical amount of spots. I mean, the pit crew puts them in races that they were just kind of hanging out, and then the pit crew gives them track position
yeah,
all the time, and they keep it. You know.
it's good when you come down pit road and you have faith that what
Hmm.
Jesse's worked his butt off to get these spots. Probably going to get 1 or 2 more, but we're never
Mhm.
going to lose one. So
Mhm.
shouldn't say never. Knock on wood saying that.
I
They'll
got some
Got
wood
you
probably end
right
up
covered.
here
doing.
for you.
Well, what ended?
Yeah,
You
they'll
got you
probably
covered.
end up losing 3 or 4 spots this week, and it'll be all my fault. So
Yeah.
yeah. So, but no,
We'll remove it from existence.
Yeah. they're the. I tell you, man, they don't get enough credit for what they do.
Mm-mm.
And I know that they're trying to put spotlights on these guys now, and that's great.
Mhm.
But those guys are just phenomenal. They're phenomenal human beings for one. They're great with each other. They're good at what they do. They hang out together. They're really good with us. I mean, they might as well, you know. Um, and they
But
may be better than a race team is together. They're just
Mhm.
better together.
Mhm.
So it's cool to see.
Yeah, you got to have a lot of camaraderie on a pit stop, on a pit crew, I feel like, because, someone's always going to kind of have your back a little bit because, like you said, you do kind of get in that tunnel vision and
Mm-hmm.
accidents happen on pit road. I mean, it's not very often, but you do see people get hit on pit road. And,
Yeah.
you got to have
Mhm.
somebody to
Mhm.
be able to be like, oh,
Yeah.
I got you.
Hold
You know,
on.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, can you walk us through a race week or weekend? I'm not sure when it starts, but can you walk us through a race week/weekend? What it is from your perspective and everything like that.
So I'll just break it down from, let's say we have a race on Saturday. Um, we let's see, we race on Saturday, get on a
Mhm.
plane, fly back home, whatever. So I'll just go from the start. Truck driver gets in the truck, drives back to the shop, gets there Sunday late. We're off on Sundays. Um, so Monday morning, we get to the shop. I get there about 6:30 on Monday morning. I live an hour from the shop, so it's early morning for me. So we get to the shop 6:30. About 7 o'clock, we're unloading the car. It comes off the trailer, uh, goes back to where we work. It goes straight to tear down. You
Mhm.
got 5 or 6 guys back there that are phenomenal at what they do. Um, Chris Bradley and Jeremy Mullet and all these guys that are in the tear down deal. They're the shop
Mhm.
guys they call them. And without those guys, nothing that we're doing right now remotely happens. They are, I'd like to call them worker ants. If you can put them that
Little
way.
worker bees.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
that's fine.
they if we're what they see on the weekend, they're the unsung heroes that stay back home.
Mhm.
And without them, you don't have this. They
Mhm.
build the 21 cars and they build the 2 cars. They build both cars, and they keep themselves up to 2, 3 weeks ahead. And so we'll take it back to them guys, and they'll tear it down. They'll have that car tore apart down to nothing but a chassis and a few body panels if they're keeping them in about 3 hours, 3, 4 hours. I
Mhm.
mean, the car is nothing but a skeleton. From what it was to what it became in 3 and 4 hours, it looks like it's been picked clean. And
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
they
crazy.
they do that with our car. They do it with a 21. They do 2 cars in a day, and it's bam, just like that. They have it done. Meanwhile, our car that we're preparing for next week will already be either done to the point to where we can start working on it. Uh, I'll switch my interior stuff over that Jesse needs for the next week. Um, from the last weekend's car to this week's car. I'll change his seat insert. I'll get his AC unit out and stuff like that he runs. He runs a cool shirt, so I get all of that um, cleaned up and cleaned out and make sure everything is as fresh as I can possibly make it for when he gets back in the car. It feels brand new again.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
um, You got my car chief. He's doing his deal. He's working, and we'll do that. We'll work on this car for 2 or 3 days. Monday, Tuesday, we usually load up Wednesday morning, and we'll load up, close the trailer door, whatever time it may be. It may be noon on Wednesday. It may be 2 or 3 o'clock on Wednesday. It may be later than that. Never it happened this year.
Mhm.
But when that door shuts, it's on to next week's car. It's what are we doing next week? And because once that door shuts, that's this weekend is in the truck. She gone. So then we're off on Thursday. Do get a travel day, so we're off on Thursdays. Friday, usually early morning. If the garage opens really early on Friday, say 6 a.m., usually we'll fly Thursday afternoon to the racetrack. Sleep there, get up, and go to the racetrack instead of trying to be on a plane at 2 o'clock in the morning or stuff like that. So um,
Is that something
we'll
you
get on
learned
the
the hard
plane.
way, or is that
I think I think they are. I think that was their way of saying we don't want you to be tired at the racetrack. So uh, there's been a lot of times where things happen quickly, especially in the morning when you're getting ready for tech, and so um, I mean, I've even been a part of a race team before that's had a car come loose in the trailer, and when we drop the trailer door and it's beaten all to you know what, um, you got to fix it. That's your primary. You got to fix it. So work starts immediately, and it can always happen. I mean, I know we got one of the best truck drivers in the entire garage. With we call him Pop Top. His name's Scott Clodfelter, but he's a great guy and one heck of a truck driver. So, but like I said, anything can happen, and it's
Yeah.
one of these deals where you hope it doesn't, but always prepare for it to possibly happen. So,
hmm
get to the racetrack, get back on track, get back to the racetrack. Garage open say 10 a.m. Early access, they call it, will be 30 minutes prior to that. So that will be like tire guys and everybody that wants to just go in, but they're not going to start doing anything to race cars until about 10 o'clock. So my job at that point is to get over to where my tires are, find me a spot, just lay all my stuff out, and I have to find a set of tires that go on that race car to push it through tech, because you cannot push it on the tires you brought it on. It has to be a set from the racetrack. And
Hmm.
that process is probably my most stressful process of the entire weekend. It may only last 30 minutes, but I do not look forward to the rush to try to find your spot. I'm usually the first one in the Xfinity garage. Usually. There's about 4 or 5 of us that stand there, and they call it waffle belly at the fence to get in. So it's usually the same crowd every week, and if it's funny, I got a good buddy of mine. I mean, he's my old car chief from last year. His name's Derek Jennings, and after we won at Talladega, I think the next race was at Dover, and so I had already went into the garage. I'd already been in. I was in there early, and the garage say opened at I don't know 9 o'clock. I was already in there at 8:30. And technically, no, you're not supposed to be in there. But all I did was went in and helped the truck drivers unload the truck, just trying to help them. And so he sends me a text and says, so you win a race and now you think you don't have to be first in the garage. And I sent him a picture of me standing in the holler, and I said, well, you already lost that battle because I'm already in here. So nothing's changed. So he always picks on me about wanting to be first in the garage, but it's just the way I'm wired, man. And like, I don't want to be that guy that somebody's waiting on. I don't want to put extra stress on myself because I want to be, lollygagging. I can't, it's one thing I can't stand. And bless Danny Stockman can't stand it either. So you don't want to be
hmm
caught hands in pockets or lollygagging, you will get called on it.
And we were always told at work, if you got time to lean, you got time to clean.
And Danny's
Oh,
thing
gosh.
is,
Yeah, I remember that.
Danny's thing, dude, it's hilarious you say that. Danny's thing is run she may, shine she must. So that's Danny. And and I promise you, if there's not something on that race car that ain't sparkling clean, he will find it. So going through the tech line with him, putting your hands on that race, you better be ready to have a rag afterwards because he's going to make you wipe your handprints off. So um, then again, I know it's I ramble a lot. So
Oh,
if
you're good.
I'm
You're good. Like
say
Dan
like
said,
on
listening to
this makes it great for
Yeah.
us. We're just enjoying
Yeah,
the
it
time.
makes it a whole lot easier. Yeah.
so you have like on Friday, garage opens, I get my tires, first set goes to the race car. Right. They roll through tech with it, and majority of the time we pass the first time. If we don't, they push us back in the garage. We fix whatever's wrong with it, and then we'll take it all the way back around, and hopefully we pass the second time. Because if we don't, now we lose our car chief, which granted is my go-to guy when it comes to race day. So fast forward to later that afternoon, usually practice qualifying.
Mhm.
Practice is 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes, something like that. Go in and it's go time immediately and things happen fast. As soon as you like I'll take my qualifying tires out to pit road with me. I'll haul them out there well before practice starts. Um, make sure the pressures are set in them. Make sure things are good with the tires. Make sure if there's an inner liner, make sure nothing's equalizing. Make sure nothing's leaking. 'Cause, we've had a lot of problems this year. I have personally, and a lot of guys down pit road have had trouble with inner liners this year, uh, spontaneously leaking for whatever reason. So you'll you'll do that, and practice starts, and it's 3, 2, 1, push him out and let's go. I'm the one that puts Jesse in the race car. He'll climb in. Usually, you'll see me get down. I'll take a knee beside the door, and I'll hook his. When he gets in the car, he's doing his belts, and I'm looking around. I got his water bottle in the car. I got his radios turned on. He'll start putting on his helmet and his Hans. I hand him his earbuds and hook him all up, man. Make sure the radios work. Hook his radio to the cord. Make sure his helmet's all hooked up. Make sure his air conditioner is plugged into the top of his helmet. Make sure his cool shirt's working. I got to go through all this stuff with him before we even turn a lap, and it happens quickly. And there's if you're not hyper focused on what you're doing, like for me, I take it very very seriously because one, his safety is what I am. I'm an
That's in your
interior
hands.
specialist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it's not, and granted, there's the guy at the shop, Chris Bradley, he's really really good at what he does. I'll just leave it at that. I hope to one day be able to effortlessly do stuff, like he does. But
Mm-hmm.
he makes that easy on me because he sets everything at the shop. So when Jesse comes to the shop, sit in the car for the first time, he'll look at me and give me a thumbs up. Good to go, man. So we get to the racetrack, everything's the same as it is at the shop. Now, I've had to move some stuff every now and then if he's not quite comfortable when he gets in the race car and gets under load, and if there's something he wants changed, I'll do it. Um, but like I said, if there's something in that race car that's not safe, that's my responsibility, and I take that very very seriously. Um, and then again, I'm the tire guy, so not only is his safety relying on me in the car, now his safety solely relies on what I do with tires inside the car. So it's more
Right.
of a like if I have a tire that's equalizing, I can't in good conscience look up and say this tire's good to go in a race car. If it equalizes, it's just going to throw the car in the fence. I
Right.
mean, it could happen. So, I mean, I you have to be vigilant. You have to be intentional at everything you do. And granted, I struggle a little bit with some things, but Danny's always, he points it out, which is fine. Um, but there's, you have to be deliberate. You have to be focused. You have to not get caught up in what this guy down pit road's doing or what this guy is doing over here or watching somebody else. You got to be focused on what you're doing and nothing else. Listening to him on the radio, keeping up with how many laps we've ran around the racetrack, keeping up with, like me, I have to keep up with track temperature, how many laps we've ran, you know, what sets on the car, how many laps did we run in practice. And after practice is over, those tires come off, qualifying tires go on. We get 5 minutes to change all that stuff. Like during practice, I'll be the one when he comes in and wants a change. I got to do air pressures right front, go all the way around the car, start at the right front, and go all the way around. And in the meantime, I'm getting information fed to me through my headset with Danny. Uh, take a put more air in this right sides or take air out or whatever he wants done. I have to do that. In the meantime, of writing all this information down, giving it to my engineer Eric, um, and then getting ready for the next run. And it happens just bam, 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 bam. It's just so quick. Practice is over, bolt qualifiers on. You're going out and you're pushing him down the grid. And, you know, checking air pressure the whole way. And with Danny, it could be last minute. And it could go with any crew chief. It could be a last minute change
Yeah.
if you're 2 or 3 cars away. And Danny or whoever, or any crew chief can do the same thing. That's y'all holler. They'll get on the radio and yell at you, "Hey, take a pound out here. Put a pound in there." You have to be ready to do it at the snap of a finger. And after all that is done, you got to go all the way down, back down the other end of pit road where they're staging these race cars. After your car takes off, and you have to be ready for him when he stops to take hot pressures after he's qualified. So you have to be able to get that information all done, wrote down, and give to Danny or whoever's standing there, and then they go over it in the hall. They see what the tire's doing, if it's tight, if it's loose. And in the meantime, I have the set of tires that we practiced on, and I'm getting wears off of them. How much did the right front wear? How much did the right rear wear? How much did the left sides wear? And I'm doing all this stuff, and then we're still in the transition of moving stuff back to the hauler from pit road, and it's really it's a lot in 30 minutes, but it feels
Sounds
like it
like it.
goes by like that. So, but it's a lot, and it is. But with the guys that I have that I ended up being a part of this two team, we've kind of got our routine started, and we've kind of got a flow. And I think everybody looks for their flow. It didn't matter if it be any day or everyday life, whether you're parents, whether you're whatever. Once you find your flow, you kind of can ease into it, and it's not so bad. But when you stop and think about all the things that you've actually done in those 30 minutes or so, like, holy cow, like that's a lot.
I was
Mm-hmm.
busy.
I was gonna
I was
say.
real
Yeah.
busy.
But yeah,
So,
that's basically up to the race. And then the race is kind of self-explanatory. I say the same thing in practice. I'll put him in the car, radio check him, check with our spotter, Brendan Benesh, and we'll go through and do our pre-race checklist and in our heads, and um, I'll stand there until the car takes off, till he leaves, and back to the pit box I go, and I'm resetting the air pressures and getting the first set on the wall ready to go. Because in my mind, I'm thinking that he can go out there one pace lap and run over something.
Right.
yeah.
I mean, in theory, it could happen. And
Mm-hmm.
if he does that, am I ready if he comes down pit road lap one? And if I'm not ready, then that falls on me. It doesn't
Right.
matter that I was at the race car. It doesn't matter that I didn't have time. I mean, it doesn't matter. That the tires are ready for that on that to go on that race car at any given time. That's on me. So that's why I'm so vigilant and deliberate in what I do to find my flow and to find my rhythm to do my to get everything basically as ready as possible. So race every pit stop, you do your tire wears, you're doing pressures, what the tires are when they come off, handing sheets up to the engineer. Then I type on the computer what they are, put them into a whatever they call that thing that they have them all booked in, and move on to the next stop. And just making sure that everything is ready in case anything happens. If he's got a flat, it has to be ready. If he's coming down pit road and I have something to do, then tires have to be ready. So um,
Right.
preventive maintenance, I guess you would call that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure you were busy last week at a place like Darlington with a lot of tire
Yes.
wear, and every time there's a caution, they're going to want to come down and get tires.
Yeah, the cop yellow really had me, as they say, on the chip. Uh,
Yep.
I was kind of, I got to the pit stall and had everything set, but 20 laps at Darlington's not very long.
Mm-mm.
It's not very long at all. When you're lapping that place at like 30 some seconds, you're doing 2 laps a minute. You're you're probably looking at 10 minutes, and you're having to do wears and you're having to do tire pressures, and you have to already have set two on the wall and then be gone. So yeah, it
Mhm.
got hectic. Darlington's a fun racetrack, home racetrack for me because it's close to home and everything. But
Mm.
but it's Darlington's wild.
Mhm.
It's a wild place. Plus, you never know. You can hit the fence at any time, knock a tire down any moment. So that's the closest you run to the fence there. So it's it's really it's fun when you look back on it, but in the moment, oh, it's one of the most terrible things you can put yourself into. It's like walking in quicksand and you're sinking the whole time. It's like you have nothing to grab to. It's just a sea of tires. It feels like, and it just like wave after wave after wave. But
Mhm.
after a while, it settles down. Towards the end of the race, it settles down, and you're good.
What are some of your goals moving forward with the two team and any personal goals that you may have as far as your career or anything like that?
Well, obviously, to grow as a team, I think that's probably one of the biggest things that we're working on. I mean, like, I'm not, by any means, this is probably one of the most put together, thoughtful way of putting together a race team. Danny's
Mhm.
very, very smart, not just on race cars. He usually he gets the most out of people, and it's not really not really taking any effort because like for me, I want to do my best, not just for him, but for Jesse, for Richard, you know.
Right.
Um, so my goals this year, we wanted to get him in the playoffs, and we've done that,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
and
goal is achieved.
you know,
Check that
yeah,
mark.
I mean, my goal, the whole reason I even came to RCL was to win races, and I'd
Mhm.
never won. Like I said, I'd never won anything. Um, I came close. And like Atlanta, that was heartbreaking. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and try to sugarcoat it by any means. And it took me a few days because I'd never been that close. I'd never let it enter my mind that hey, I could win this thing. We could win this race.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
then to have it ripped ripped out of your arms like that, it's just it was heartbreaking. And for somebody that's never won anything like me, I was the only person on that entire race team, pit crew and shop guys and whatever that's never won. And so, but it also made Talladega that much sweeter, and
Mhm.
it made it that much better. And seeing the emotion that Danny was
52
showing.
laps.
Hmm. I mean, the
52 laps.
the
My goodness.
kid, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Danny looked at me after the race and said, "I don't know how it's still running." And I don't think anybody did. I don't. I know it never occurred to me that all I seen was Atlanta all over again.
Mhm.
So
And
close yet so far type of
yeah,
situation.
truth be told, I wasn't even in the pit box when he took the white flag. I
Really?
was not there. Nope, I was not there. I was not going to let myself sit there and watch him run out of gas or get wrecked or something, on the last lap. I had went to Goodyear, which was probably a 5-minute walk to take a set of tires back. I didn't even want to be there. And I got back. I wasn't even in the pit box when he took the white flag. I heard him on the radio say 1 to go. I'm thinking to myself, it ain't gonna happen. I don't think, I've been in here, I've been here before. I've been here before in ARC, I've been here before in trucks, I've been here before in Xfinity. I've seen the white flag and never seen the checkered.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so, we I get to the pit box and I hear them coming off the floor. And I get to the boxes. I mean, I literally got to the pit box with about a quarter of a lap left, just
Mhm.
long enough to stand up on the pit wall beside of Paul Swan and watch us go by in front and realize then I was like, holy cow, like it actually happened. Like,
We won.
and it's, yeah, like I've won a NASCAR race. Like, holy cow.
Hmm.
So, um, my goal was just to be competitive. When I came to RCR, I knew it was going to be an uphill climb. I knew it was going to be for somebody that doesn't have a ton of experience. I got to want to, and that's what Danny seen in me to I guess, hire me. I'd had the experience of 1 year with Xfinity, half a year with trucks, and I just had the want to, and I wanted to win races. And I told Danny, I said, that's what drives me. I said, I want to win races. And then I won, and I'm like, dang, that was quick. Like, now
Yeah.
what? Like,
Yep.
and now it's become let's skyrocket this kid's career. Like, let's do it for him. Do it for me. I want to see this kid succeed in everything he gets in. I don't care if it's a mountain bike. I want to see him succeed in it. And me and Jesse have developed a pretty cool relationship with each other where, you know, he tells me what he needs, and I make sure to stay on him a little bit. That comes from Danny. Danny telling me, hey man, you got to stay with him. You gotta you know ask him what he needs, and if he needs anything, make sure it happens, and don't ask me. Make sure it happens, and if something needs to be done, take care of it, like stuff like that. And I think me and Jesse have built the trust together, and I think it's along the lines of, me and Jesse, and me and Robert, Bug, my car chief, and we got Don John, who's underneath guy. He's the only one that's left from last year's 2 car, and we just we have a tight knit group, and you know that was a goal of mine coming in, was to be one of the guys, to be in that core of what makes RCR so great. And then you add in, you have the sponsor Whelen, who is very hands on, and it's awesome to see the the hands on approach that they have. They're more excited about us racing than we are excited about going to the racetrack. You know, it was awesome. We had Watt on the car, their aerospace technologies deal on the car when we won at Talladega, and had the Wheeling guys and girls on the pit box, and they were losing their minds. I mean, it was so cool. Um, they came down, they bought us lunch on the Wednesday after Talladega. The guys flew down from Connecticut, I think they were, and and to meet them, to shake their hand, to tell them thank you, and for what they do, and seeing the excitement, because I didn't realize it was Whelan's first win. Also, I did not
Really?
realize that
Oh,
they had been in the sport for 28 years and had yet to
I
win a
didn't know they
NASCAR
hadn't won yet.
race. I had no clue, had no idea. So it's pretty neat to be tied at the hip to Whelan and Jesse Love, because all three of us got our first NASCAR win together. So,
Yeah.
but that was that was pretty awesome to be a part of, and to meet Mr. Whelan, that was pretty neat at Dover. Um, Big guy. Um, so to represent them, to have them, be a part of what we do, and to see the excitement on their faces when we run well and when we win races, and to see them happy. That's cool for me, not only as a guy that works on the race team, but also as a race fan. Like, you think that we couldn't do any of this without people like these guys back here? I mean, they're the ones that they put their names on the race cars to win races, and we did it with those guys with Wheeling. So um, there's a lot of goals that I'd set that either I set the car too low, or we just kind of just overachieve a lot, which I guess is
It's
a good
always good.
thing. But yeah, like just getting to know the guys, getting to know the driver, winning a race, being a contender every week, making the playoffs, like uh, running well everywhere, plate tracks, road courses, short tracks, intermediates. I mean, we've been good everywhere. I mean, it's not been, we're just good on plate tracks. I mean, Jesse finishes second at Phoenix and ninth his first time at Martinsville, and he's never seen Darlington, and finishes eighth there. And I'm like, man, this kid's got no experience in an Xfinity car, but you'd never know it.
yeah.
You would
Yeah.
never know the kid has never drove an Xfinity car.
Mhm.
So, I mean, we went to Charlotte for a test, a rookie test, early this year, January, I think it was, into January. And kid laid down a lap that had been seventh quick in qualifying, and just last year. And I was like, yeah, that's because the track's, cool. So I
Yeah,
went back
gripped
and
up.
I went back and looked at my notes. We qualified in the morning. The temperature, track temp was within 3 degrees.
Dang.
So he laid that
Wow.
lap down on about the same lap, about the same track temp, and did it with zero experience in an Xfinity car.
Hmm.
That's when I knew right then and there. I was like, this kid is special. He's going to be good. So, um, you know, like I said, I don't know if I set my goals too low. If I didn't expect much, but I mean, the kid is, we're doing well. I mean, up to this point, you know, we've been we've been blessed. I mean, we've had a lot of things that haven't gone our way, but we've also had a lot of things that went our way.
Mhm.
Right.
Obviously, we have the deal at Atlanta. Yeah, that sucked, but we sat on the pole at Daytona and got caught up in a wreck. Yeah, that sucked, but we went to Phoenix right after that, bounced back and finished second. Then he
Right.
goes to Martinsville and bounces out and finishes fifth, I think, at Martinsville, and I'm like, or wherever, I can't remember where we finished, but it was pretty decent. And then at Dover, we had a great car at Dover. Um, you know, one of the fastest cars. He set the fastest lap at Dover of overall, and just had an incident and got a tire cut down. So I mean, it's awesome to be a part of. Especially somebody that's never been a part of anything this big, this well funded, this put
Right.
together,
This
and
magnitude.
yeah, this
Mhm.
side, the enormity of what
Mhm.
we're a part of. So, like I said, there's been a lot of goals that have already been achieved, but then you have to reevaluate, and it's now we're in the playoffs. We've won a race. We have that sticker. I have my first win. I've got all this stuff now, and it's Now it's what do we push for? Now it's, do we want to when we just want to be better every single week? And if we walk out of the racetrack with the finish that we deserve, then that's fine. If we overachieve, it's
Even
happened.
better.
Yeah, it's happened a
I
lot
was
this
about to
year.
say even better.
Yeah.
So
So we got a lot of faith in Jesse, got a lot of faith in Danny, a lot of faith in each other. So I think we got a really, really good group, and I think we're going to do some more good things this year. At least I hope so. So um, I think it all correlates to Danny Stockman, Danny Lawrence, Andy Petrie, and those guys that put it all together. And
right.
Mhm.
I think they've done a really, really good job of putting the right pieces in the right spots. And Jesse's drove his butt off. So, like I said, it's just maybe my goals were too low. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe I just didn't expect all this. But yeah, it's good to be a part of, and it's a lot of fun right now. So we'll just leave it there.
Well, that's great to hear. Um, well, I reckon we definitely gotta have you back on.
I was gonna say,
100%.
please, please.
We would love to have you back again.
Yep.
But where can the people find you? Where do they need to look? What social medias or anything? I don't where can they find you?
Well, you can usually find me with my head stuck in a race car somewhere. So I guess we can. I guess we could say that. I, you know, I am on social media,
Mhm.
but I really don't play with it. I mean, I do get on iRacing every now and then, and I'm on Twitch. I guess you could say. I don't even know what my Twitch name is, but I do stream a few races.
I
I
was
do
gonna
stream
say we
races
don't
on
know
there.
what to call it.
So, well, we will
Yeah.
we'll gladly send people
So
your
it's
way as well as
let me
ourselves.
see if I can even. I don't know if I can. Oh, it's so this is gonna be weird. So my nickname is Bass Ackards. All right, and it sounds like you do things bass backwards, bass
Yep.
backwards. Okay, so I got that nickname racing go karts at GoPro Motorplex in Morrisville. I spun out and hit a guy, and they said you always do things bass backwards, so it stuck. So it's Bass Ackards 97. It's BASSAKERDS 97. So if you want to watch me go around in circles virtually, you
You
can
want to
probably
watch me?
watch
You
me
go
do that
Bass
there.
Ackards.
Yeah,
You
Yeah.
you can go Bass Ackards with me, so we can do that.
So, well, that's
Put that
awesome,
on a
man.
t-shirt.
Dude, for
I was
real.
about to say.
So, well, we really appreciate your time. And obviously it's showing where you've come from to where you are now. That two car with what you are doing. You all seem to have a really good group and really good chemistry. So we hope to see more things and greater things even. So those goals, when we talk again, we'll see where they reset to.
Yeah.
How's that sound?
Yeah, this year,
So,
I'll just put it to you this way: we're looking to go to Phoenix and take rings home. So, well, that's a goal. We'll put it that way. Get the kid to Phoenix. We'll see if he can't take care of the rest. So, that's our goal. It's just get him
so,
there.
well, you obviously know how to race there with that second place at the beginning
Yeah,
of the year.
I
So,
was gonna say.
yeah.
it's just like you said, just got to get there, which you already step
Yeah.
one in the playoffs. So
Mhm.
congratulations on your Talladega win, by the way, and
Thank
we
you.
hope to see more of that. And yeah, we hope to have you back on again